Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another video. Match day 13 of the Premier League season has been and gone, leaving us with plenty of talking points from this past weekend's round of Premier League fixtures. This, of course, is another Premier League aftermath video in which I get into those kind of topics and talk about some of the games that, of course, happened this past weekend. Have obviously piqued my and your interest. But before we go any further in talking about this past weekend's round of Premier League fixtures, I would like to remind you all to please like the video and also subscribe if you're new. Both things are always and very greatly appreciated. But for now, let's get back into talking about some of the biggest talking points from match day 13. We're going to begin with Brentford, who heaped more misery onto Everton thanks to a 1-0 victory on Sunday, as Ivan Toney's first half penalty proved to be the difference maker on the day. The striker converted from 12 yards after Andros Townsend had given away the spot kick in the first half, and from there Brentford managed to hold on to claim all 3 points, a clean sheet, and of course stop the rot of a poor run of form that the Bees have found themselves in recent weeks. I don't think they'd won in 4 or 5 games, something along them lines, before the Everton game, and obviously now they have stopped that run of bad form. I particularly was impressed with Ivan Toney. Like I say, he scored the spot kick on the day. It was a very coolly taken spot kick, very well placed, very well done. But it wasn't just about that goal, of course. It was his pressing, his work rate, his creative play. Everything about his attacking prowess on that day was absolutely fantastic. And like I say, his work ethic, his work rate was incredible as well. And not just in the attacking third, but also in his own half and defending. His hold-up play was brilliant as well. And even defending in his own box was fantastic as well. And he contributed to his team throughout. And he was basically the heart and soul, I think, of that entire Brentford performance. He was truly fantastic on the day and deserved to be going home with the 3 points on the winning side, because he was truly amazing. As for Everton, though, on the other side of the coin, obviously this now is 7 games, I believe, without a win for Rafa Benitez's side. Of course, I keep mentioning that he doesn't have a lot of credit as it is with him being a former Liverpool manager, so he seems to be in truly hot water right now. Yes, Everton do have plenty of injuries, but the goals have dried up, the performances have clearly dropped, and with Liverpool coming up on Wednesday in that huge Merseyside derby, they are in very red-hot form right now. They are free scoring at will. It could be a very long night in store for Everton. They will definitely have their work cut out if they're going to try and get anything from that game. And Benitez could yet be another manager that is in hot water. But otherwise, fantastic result for Brentford. A brilliant 3 points for Thomas Frank's side. Next up, we're going to be talking about Arsenal, who got back to winning ways on Saturday in their lunchtime kickoff with Newcastle, as the Gunners came out as 2-0 winners thanks to goals from Gabriel Martinelli and Bukayo Saka. Arsenal get back to winning ways, of course, following their disappointment in defeat last weekend, where they were beaten 4-0 by Liverpool, ending their 8-game unbeaten run. Whilst for Newcastle, this was the first game in which Eddie Howe was in the dugout for them since being appointed as Newcastle manager, of course. And whilst, of course, the result was disappointing, the result wasn't great for Eddie Howe and for Newcastle, there were some glimpses and some small signs that, of course, he's trying to impose his vision on this Newcastle side. Attacking wise, they created a few chances, they just didn't take them. I think they hit the bar at one point. I think Ramsdale made a couple of decent saves yet again, not for the first time this season. But defensively and in the midfield area, they just got overrun, and there is still work to be done in that aspect. But like I say, there were some promising signs that things will get better for the immediate future of Newcastle United, and especially with them going into a major and busy period of the season. It's going to be massive for them, more so than anyone, of course, because they are still going in search of their first win of the campaign. They are rock bottom of the table right now, and they're coming up against some teams that are going to be in and around them, relegation candidates, I guess you'd call them, between now and obviously coming up on the horizon, so to speak. So, busy period of the season for Newcastle, going to be big for them, but this was all about Arsenal. A great result for Arsenal, a great performance. Bukayo Saka in particular was very, very impressive. He's finding his feet yet again in the Premier League. And yeah, a great victory for Arsenal. Great to get back to winning ways for them. Next up, we're talking about a draw that ended in a bit of conflict between a manager and his supporters. This all took place on Saturday evening, where Brighton and Leeds played at an extremely exciting goalless stalemate at the Amex Stadium, in which both sides had to settle for a point apiece. The interesting talking point, though, came at the final whistle, where the Brighton supporters booed off their own team after that performance. And what was interesting was Graham Potter, the Brighton manager, was asked about that in his post-match interview, to which he replied, "They are entitled to their opinion. I disagree with them completely. We're sitting 8th in the league. Maybe I need a history lesson of this football club." Interesting that he would come out and defend his corner like this so fiercely. I actually rate him for doing that. I think it was good of him to deal this kind of reality check to the Brighton supporters. Of course, he's referring to the fact that many years ago, Brighton were in the lower divisions of the English football pyramid. And of course, in recent years, they've risen through those ranks, risen through those divisions to get to where they are today as a Premier League side and maintain their Premier League status for the past few years, making them a stable fixture within England's top tier division throughout that time period. I think it was great that he did that. I know that obviously Brighton had a very good start to the season. They fell away in their past 7 games or so. They haven't won in their past 7 games. I know they fell away a little bit, but there's been some tricky fixtures thrown in there. There's been some unlucky performances as well. I don't think it's completely the end of the world. And of course, when you're mid-table in this kind of division, 1 or 2 results either way can see you drop down or make you rise up. So it's not completely the end of the world. So I do think that maybe the Brighton supporters' reactions to this game at full time, maybe a bit of an overreaction. One thing I will say, and I don't think it will happen, but it's worth pointing out that sometimes when a manager does go to bat for himself or his club against the fans, 9 times out of 10, it doesn't end well. This could be the beginning of the end. Maybe I'm being a bit extreme about that. I don't know, but sometimes that does happen. So it's worth keeping an eye on. But yeah, goalless draw for Brighton and Leeds, but an interesting talking point nonetheless between Graham Potter and the Brighton supporters. And next up, we're going to talk about my team, of course. We're going to talk about Liverpool. We've got to talk about Liverpool, who are on fire right now. They are on some serious red hot form after putting Southampton to the sword on Saturday, with the Reds winning 4-0 against Ralph Hasenhüttl's side. It was a rare 3 o'clock kickoff for Jurgen Klopp's side to have to contend with, but that didn't matter to the Reds. They still went about their business professionally, and they won the game by 4-0, thanks to goals from Diogo Jota, who scored twice on the day. Thiago Alcantara got on the score sheet as well, continuing his fine form in recent weeks. And Virgil van Dijk also got on the score sheet against his former club. It was the perfect performance. I mean, 1 or 2 nervy moments here and there, but that's why you have the world's best goalkeeper between the sticks to deny that. Alisson Becker was in fine form yet again. Didn't have too much to do, but when called upon, did his job. Fantastic performance from him. Performance was great, result obviously was perfect, and another clean sheet to add to the growing collection. Just overall a fantastic weekend. And what made it even sweeter for Jurgen Klopp's side was the fact that Chelsea, who we will get onto later on in this video, also dropped points this weekend, which means that Liverpool closed the gap on top of the table, Chelsea. And whilst Manchester City also won this weekend, which, you know, wasn't perfect, but it's not too bad either for what it is, it's going to make for an interesting 3-horse race for the foreseeable future of the Premier League title race. It's going to be very interesting going forward. And of course, Liverpool's immediate attention turns to Wednesday, where they of course have that massive Merseyside derby to contend with against Everton. Everton out of form, Liverpool in red hot form, free scoring at will. Could be a long night for Everton. Fingers crossed. Next up, we're giving an honourable mention to the snowy conditions that impacted England on Sunday. Yes, snow fell Saturday night going into Sunday and continued to fall Sunday during the day, and it actually impacted football greatly. There were some great photos from the football games that actually did take place on the day of the snowy conditions impacting the game. The Leicester game, for example, was incredible. Incredible scenes. The Man City West Ham game, I know, had to be delayed a little bit at half time just to try and shift some of the snow that was falling. But they actually managed to impact one game completely, that it actually got called off. Turf Moor was set to see Burnley take on Tottenham, but that game never happened. It was called off due to the snowy conditions. It's very rare that weather conditions like this would actually impact a game in the top flight, especially given how the other games that were taking place at the same time went ahead. So, of course, naturally, conspiracy theories started flying around. Allegedly, Burnley didn't want to play the game due to having a number of injuries and saw this as a great opportunity to try and get this game postponed by not following the proper procedures and proper sort of ways to combat the snow that was falling on the pitch. Of course, read into that what you will. I don't necessarily buy it, but of course it makes for interesting reading in a game that obviously didn't go ahead. And finally, you know what we're going to be talking about as the biggest talking point from this round of Premier League fixtures. We're of course going to be talking about Chelsea, who stuttered against Manchester United on Sunday at Stamford Bridge, as the Blues and the Red Devils played out a 1-1 draw in Sunday's afternoon kickoff. Chelsea stutter, they drop points, and really, United went there with a plan, but Chelsea were the makers of their own downfall. Chelsea had the majority of possession, they created the better of the chances, had the majority of the chances, but just couldn't take them. Mistake there. And further, of course, the mistake that led to the United goal. Jorginho miscontrolling the ball and allowing Jadon Sancho in to break the deadlock. Horrific error on his part. He did go on to make up for it by converting from the penalty spot to equalise after Aaron Wan-Bissaka had given away a penalty. But Chelsea continued to miss chances from there, good chances at that. And of course, almost threw away the entire game when Edouard Mendy in his own penalty area gave the ball away. But fortunately for him, he only gave the ball away to Fred, who tried to lob him, failed miserably, and saved Mendy from any further embarrassment or the time of just giving away the game, so to speak, to a United side that obviously are in a bit of chaos right now and are on the verge of appointing a new interim manager. So, of course, bad weekend for Chelsea overall. Makes it even worse that obviously both Manchester City and Liverpool gained some ground on them. Chelsea dropped points. Both of those sides win, so they dropped points there. But yeah, it was a strange game. Chelsea were the makers of their own downfall, but on the flip side, a good point for United going into a new era under Ralph Rangnick, it seems. But of course, as I always say, these are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, whatever you want to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of any of the talking points that I talked about from this past weekend's round of Premier League fixtures? Were there any other talking points that you want to talk about down below in the comment section? I'm sure your thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, whatever you want to call it down below will make for interesting reading, of course. Otherwise, hit that like button on the way out if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you're new or want to see more content like this. Both things are always and from be greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Fletch Talks video, and I will see and speak to you all again soon in another video.